Let's get into the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams, their fingernail-painted quarterback, who, to me, has been fingernails on a chalkboard from day one. You can go all the way back to USC, and when he crawled up in his mother's lap after losing a game, went into the stands, crawled up into his mother's lap. Holy cow, I've never been on board with Caleb Williams. And I came into this playoffs, I came into this weekend hoping that Caleb Williams and the Bears would get smacked because I don't like Caleb Williams. I don't like the fingernails. I don't like all the extra. I don't like how wimpy he seems to be. And so to me, Caleb Williams was fingernails on a chalkboard. And that's why I sat back this weekend after he knocked off the Bears, the Bears knocked off the Packers, and my mind was blown Saturday night. My mind was absolutely blown. I didn't think Caleb Williams was capable of this. I didn't think, and I'm not talking about his on-field performance. His on-field performance was rock solid, and the amazing pass he completed on 4th and 8 and all the other things he did and leading the Bears to that comeback. I think they were down 15 points in the fourth quarter. It was hats off to Caleb Williams. Nice. But the guy still struggles to complete 50% of his passes. There were things for me to knock about Caleb Williams. I didn't have to get on board with Caleb Williams. He could still remain fingernails on a chalkboard. But then I saw the video of Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson in the locker room. Ben Johnson's in the locker room giving his post-game speech. He's handing out game balls to the tight end, Loveland, or whatever his name. What's his name? Loveland, Laceless, or Colson Loveland. Yeah, the tight end from Michigan, I believe. Yeah, rookie tight end. Had a great game. It gives him one. Gives one out to, I believe, Montez Sweat on the defensive side of the ball. And then he gives a game ball to Caleb Williams. And the next thing I know, and when these guys get the game balls, like Loveland, he talks. Montez Sweat, he makes a brief statement. And then Caleb Williams, the quarterback of the Bears, the guy that is fingernails on a chalkboard to me, someone that I've rooted against since his USC days and have thought like, no way that's going to work in the locker room. I see his post-game speech, and I'm blown away. Let's play the clip.
15 years, they said. It's haven't beaten, Green Bay or whatever since whatever, right?
Talk heavy.
Look at this guy right here. First playoff win. Everything he's done for us as a coach, everything the other coaches have done for us. And it started with him, with bringing in everybody and,
Get
and all of
emotional.
that, right? And for me personally, he's been get emotional. For me personally, he's been monumental in my life so far.
Yeah.
And so to his first playoff win as a Chicago Bear.
I never thought Caleb Williams would work in a locker room, not in a masculine locker room environment. And so now I'm looking at this whole Caleb Williams story as completely different. I went from fingernails on a chalkboard to now my whole narrative on this is like, this is Good Williams hunting. And I don't know, you guys remember the movie Good Will Hunting? Matt Damon, Robin Williams. Matt Damon's this brilliant kid that's weird, has all these emotional issues. He's socially awkward, but he's a genius. And it took Robin Williams to bring out some humanity in him and get this guy in touch with who he really is. And then Matt Damon's character falls in love with this woman, and he was struggling to really connect with her and go all in with her. And Robin Williams brought out the best man in the Matt Damon character. And I'm looking at what the Chicago Bears and what I got to give Kevin Warren and his whole organization. Like, hey, man, this quarterback is super talented. We just have to find the right head coach to bring out his greatness, to create an environment. Like, Ben Johnson has so much electricity, charisma, toxic masculinity to him. Everybody's upset with Ben Johnson because he wouldn't shake Matt LaFleur's hands in a sincere way after the game. That Ben Johnson walks around with an attitude and a chip on his shoulder. And it's exactly what the Chicago Bears need, because they took a unique quarterback, a guy 6'1", a little risky with the football, a lot of arm talent, but quirky personality. And if you don't pair that type of quarterback with that upside with the right head coach, what you have is what the Bears had last year. A quarterback that took 68 sacks, a quarterback that everybody was like, man, this thing's not going to go well. They bring in Ben Johnson, the sacks, and look, they've upgraded their offensive line. They've upgraded the personnel around him. There's no doubt. But the sacks now dropped to 24 this season. The guy threw only 7 interceptions this season. No one, all the people complaining, including me, about his completion percentage. We really need to shut up and quit thinking about the analytics, quit being convinced that the completion percentage is the end-all, be-all. They're running a different style of offense, a big play offense, a style of offense that allows Caleb Williams to play free while protecting the football, not turning it over, not taking sacks. He's getting the ball out of his hands. He's not Shedeur Sanders or one of these guys that just holds on to the ball forever. But more important is like Ben Johnson's attitude, all that machismo, all that over-the-top macho stuff, all that, hey, I'm not shaking Matt LaFleur's hands, I got a chip on my shoulder, all that. Remember this year when he took his shirt off in the locker room? All that over-the-top masculinity is leaking over into Caleb Williams, allowing Caleb Williams to become a leader himself. This is Robin Williams discipling Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting. This is amazing what we're watching. And for someone like me that's constantly talking about, we got to be willing to disciple these young men. We got to be willing to be patient with these young men. We got to be willing to impose our attitude on these young men. And I was sitting here thinking, like, Caleb Williams is a lost cause. He's a hopeless case, that it would never work. That this guy with his fingernails painted and these earrings and all this extra feminine stuff he says in post-game locker room, in post-game press conference and what, it would never work. And then I listened to this post-game speech, and if you really listen, it's not about what Caleb Williams was saying. It's about what his teammates were doing and hanging on every word and cheering him on. And that people like me that thought he would never command respect in a locker room, we got to eat crow. He's commanding respect in that Chicago Bears locker room. This is why this team never gives up. And they have all these late game come from behind miracle victories because this kid, they have confidence in, they have belief in. During the game, play the clip of Caleb kind of snapped during the game and was yelling at people and the broadcasters. Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit took notice of it, and they should. But this guy's actually respected. I'm saying maybe all of that propaganda, maybe it's worked. And maybe you can be fingernails painted. Maybe you can be fingernails on a chalkboard guy. But if you can play, maybe it still works. But I'll say this, before I'm willing to go there, you better have a Ben Johnson on your team. You better have a Ben Johnson type leader to make this thing work. And that's not to take anything away from Caleb Williams. I'm done for now criticizing Caleb Williams. Next week, maybe he'll do something completely stupid. Maybe he'll crawl up in his mother's arms again and talk about how he just wants to roll around with his dog, like these women do with, maybe. And I'll be off of him. But right now, I can't do anything but salute Caleb Williams, and a huge salute to Ben Johnson and to Kevin Warren and this whole Chicago Bears organization. They had a vision. They had a belief in Caleb Williams' talent, and he definitely has the arm talent. There's no question about that. Anybody that watched that game, anybody that's watched him this season, this kid has the arm. And they figured out who and what to pair Caleb Williams with. Ben Johnson. Right now, him and Dan Campbell are in a fight over who's the most masculine coach in the National Football League and who's the most masculine coach in sports. And that may be why they don't like each other and they don't talk to each other. And it may be why, Ben Johnson runs around like he's the toughest guy on the planet because, he's got a quarterback that he's trying to disciple and transform into a guy that's an amazing leader in the Bears locker room. And he's done it.